If you have a Bible with you, if you turn to Matthew chapter 2, and this is such a special occasion, isn't it? It's Mike and Bev's last service with us. He's performed his last act as a pastor here and dedicating a baby, and that's wonderful. And if you have a Bible, if you could turn to the book of Matthew chapter 2, and we're going to read from verses 1 through to 12 together. Thank you so much. A big hand for the stewards, aren't they wonderful? It's great. It's great. Thank you so much. They don't like drawing attention to themselves, but we'll do it for them. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Christ was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will be the shepherd of my people Israel." And Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and make a careful search for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. And they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold and of incense and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. I preached on this passage on Tuesday at the luncheon meal that we had, and it was wonderful. It was great. But do you know what? I think someone else could do a better job of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome Steve Mudge from the Vaslon Church in Guernsey, one of Mike's best friends.
Hiya. Speaking. Okay. You all right? I know you need. Yeah, fine. Okay. Bit of a surprise for Mike, I think. Just a little one. You know, what surprised me most, though, as I was in the entrance area there, is that Michael was brought a little bit of Guernsey to Chelmsford. Yeah. Just for you. Okay, on your advertisement for your Christmas services, in the back, this is it's about the carrot, but it's about a donkey. And Mike's a donkey, as he comes from Guernsey, but Bev's a thoroughbred donkey. And so she's got real roots within Guernsey. But it's great to be here. You know, the people of Vaslon, for those of you who don't know, I'm actually from Vaslon Eden Pentecostal Church on the island of Guernsey, which is Michael's home church. And Bev's home, married into a home church, that's right. And so I'm sort of the minister of their home church, but I'm also great friends of them. For about 15, 20 years now, we've been great friends together. We socialize, we get together. Some of you would have probably seen me here a few times as we've come to holiday sort of together and just talk a few things over and those kind of things. But we're great friends. It's great to be here and be a part of your last service here. Well, I don't have to read from the scriptures because it's already been read, and I'm going to actually share a little thought. Actually, seeing it was Christmas, I thought there must be something about Christmas that we could share with Mike and Bev. And as I was just very quickly thinking about this, what I would share, God just sort of put in my heart, this is what we need to talk about. And so here we go. You see, the lesson that we can learn from the wise men and the magi, or the kings, whichever way you want to call it, depending on the scriptures that you've got, we can learn so much from what is said there and read. But this morning, I want to take what's already been read, and I want to apply it to the situation that you find yourself in today. To realize that Mike and Bev, as we know that they're going away from Chelmsford, that they're going away with a grateful heart and knowing that they've done a work that needed to be done in Chelmsford for them and as for you. And so we're going to look and see where we can see where God is talking to us this morning. All right, the wise men trying to link it with Mike and Bev and Zara. You know, I'm not sure how wise he is, but he's relatively wise, and I'm sure that you've got the wisdom that's come from Mike and Bev and the family as they've been with you over these last two and a bit years, 2 years, 9 months, almost to the day. But you know, they're going to a new nation. They came from one nation of Guernsey into a nation of England. Now they're going to the nation of Scotland. They're trying to get to a colder place, obviously, and but they're on a journey which God is moving them into. And this is part of the journey that the wise men also had to go through. And it's a journey that Mike and Bev find themselves going through at this time. You see, these three wise men, in some respects, are role models. And around this time of the year, we look at the wise men and we see what they did and what they presented and how they acted. And they are role models in many ways. First thing that we need to notice is that they noticed when God spoke. They noticed when God spoke. In verse 2 it says that they said, "Where is he who is born King of the Jews? For we saw his star in the east." And so they took notice of what was happening in the circumstances around them, and the skies in particular, because that's where they used to study the stars. So God got their attention just where their attention was. They were looking for signs. They were looking for things. So God used that thing and turned it around so that they knew what God wanted them to do. These were unsaved men. They were philosophers. They were wise men. And so all they wanted to do is to honor the king that was born. And so they took the journey that was necessary. They were known to be very wise men and worked for very powerful kingdoms. And so God got their attention right in the middle of where their attention was. And you know, there was a time that while they were in Guernsey, and I managed to get over to Guernsey before they departed away from us, and so while they were in Guernsey, God got their attention. They were already working in ministry, and they were working in the church, and particularly in Petrea and Delancey as ministers, and God got their attention and said, "It's time to move on." And so 2 years, 9 months ago, they moved on. And they came to a wonderful, beautiful place called Chelmsford. That's true, isn't it? You live here. It's got to be. It's got to be a good place, you know. And it's not as good as Guernsey. I can say that because I'm an Englishman. But Guernsey's a beautiful little place. But you know, God got their attention. And they're here. And they came. And they dwelt amongst you. And they recognized, you see, the wise men, they recognized the message as being something important. Important enough to personally check it out. And Mike and Bev, they had to go and personally check out what God was saying to them. It wasn't just things that happened. And yes, part of that was the case. But they had to check out what was going on. And they checked it out and checked it through. And they realized that God was speaking to them and they were about to move. They didn't know where they were going. They were just following a star. The star of Jesus. He was leading them by the Holy Spirit.